Here we are, back to the Beard Engineer, and today we have Chase Gallagher. I had a good friend, before I introduce you, Chase, a good friend of mine said, when I introduce someone on here, that I need to tell them a little bit about what they do. So not that I think you need much of an introduction, but you probably need one to my audience. So today we have Chase Gallagher, president, owner of CMG Landscaping. We got Sean in here as well. You guys can't see him right now, but keep an eye on Chase. But Chase, why don't you just to start, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Denny. Well, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely.
I've watched a couple episodes and I've actually learned a lot about some of your guests, like Christian and how he's an actor. But I got started in this space at the age of 13, mowing lawns in my neighborhood. The original company name was called Buzzcut Lawn Care, and I grew that business.
I didn't know that. I didn't know about Buzzcut.
Yep.
Okay.
We started as Buzzcut Lawn Care because Chase's Lawn Care wasn't available as an LLC name.
Okay.
So I got started again mowing lawns, passing out flyers for the first 3 years in business. That's how I got my initial client base.
And where was this at? Downingtown?
Chester Springs.
Chester Springs.
I grew up in the neighborhood right across from the Lexus dealership, right on Route 100.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then I moved right behind that, the Lexus dealership in Windsor Ridge. So those three neighborhoods, Buyer Station, Windsor, and the Reserve is where my first client base was. And so I grew that business until I was like 18, got rid of the lawn mowing, sold that side of the company, rebranded to CMG Landscaping, and started focusing on project-based landscaping. So now we solely do design and build projects, mostly residential installs, and then we do commercial snow and ice management. So anything from plantings, retaining walls, landscape lighting, paver patios, natural stone patios, walkways.
I've definitely had the phrase project-based landscaping drilled into my head.
From the YouTube videos? Or
yes.
Okay.
From YouTube, yes.
All right, good.
Not to be doing any lawn mowing, but doing project-based landscaping work.
Yeah, it's just like your business. Like I'm sure there's like a less expensive service you could be selling, but why put your time and energy into that when we have $250,000 design projects? You know.
Well, and you're seeing, I think for you guys, you're seeing. This is my opinion on the county. The county used to be, I think a lot of people couldn't, few people could afford to live here, more could afford to work here, right? So a lot of people that work in Great Valley, I've said this before in this podcast many times, people that worked in Great Valley couldn't afford to live in Great Valley. So they drove, they drove west or north till they could afford a house.
Right.
I think what we're beginning now to see, which is interesting, which will be interesting kind of for your business, is that it's almost the opposite now. I just looked at a map at an Economic Development Council forum that was put up where it showed Chester County and it showed the trips in and out of Montgomery, Bucks, Lancaster, and showed, who was leaving. And you would think anecdotally that people would be coming into Chester County to work and leaving Chester County to live, when it's now beginning to shift where more people are leaving the county to go to work. And I think we're seeing this reflected in Great Valley Business Park, where you're seeing some of these office spaces that have been vacant for a long time be repurposed into apartments. But I think the more alarming thing is that we're seeing the labor forces going where they can afford to live, and that's pulling the businesses with them. So I'd say this is a long way of me saying I see Chester County being like a bedroom community in the long future ahead, and less of businesses if we don't do something about having people be able to afford to live here and work here.
Is that one of your goals? Because I know you've talked about this a couple times about the cost to develop a project like yours in Exton or other projects in general. So based on the sentence you just said, it sounds like you would like a lower cost of housing in Chester County.
Well,
or no? I
would, but it isn't even really as much about, and I get asked this question all the time
by
a lot of elected officials. We need more affordable housing. Everyone loves to use it. Back in the day, it was falling on deaf ears. Now it seems to be an important thing in politics is affordable housing.
Right.
It's not really as much as being affordable is there's not enough. And when there's not enough housing, right, if I have way more demand than I have houses available, it allows me to just skim the wealthiest layer off the demand cup that I possibly can.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing happen because there is not enough housing.
Right.
Not even nowhere near enough. And the reason that there's not, and I've beat this to death on here as well, but is it takes so long to get it approved.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it takes us years and years. And if you were ever, if Sean that was sitting next to me followed me around in my business and got to see what we went through to get projects approved, not a knock on townships, but it takes more than years. I have many projects in this office today that have been going on for over 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yep. The markets change in that time frame.
Right.
Right. I mean, the product changes.
Right.
You know, there've been projects where we've spent 8 years designing them, and the next thing you know, that product isn't even desired anymore, and we're
Mm,
now shifting again. It just shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is.
wow.
Yep.
It almost sounds like California, but
It is to an extent, and
okay.
look at California. Look how expensive it is to be out there.
Right.
I've never even been there before,
Right.
but I've got friends that live there, and it's like insanely expensive.
Right. And just to get an addition put on your house, or like you said, build a house. I know some real estate investors out there, and they stopped living and buying property. They sold all their properties and moved to Las Vegas in the past 4 years because they
Yep.
said it's just undoable.
Right, or unsustainable, you know,
Right.
and once the businesses begin to leave, I mean, the Oracle campus is closing down,
Hmm.
down on Sweetsford Road, and there's been other businesses that have left. To see some of these businesses begin to relocate is what's disheartening to me.
Really?
Yep. And I mean, it won't be the businesses like us, but I mean, I can tell you right now that we have about 130 people here, and we are in a 7 day a week, 365 state of hiring, and always looking to hire. And one
Hmm.
of the big, when we find candidates that want to come here, be an engineer, be a surveyor, be an environmental, I mean, they all are like, well, I'd love to live in Westchester, Denny, but I can't afford it. So
Mm.
then they're driving far to be here. And how long does it take before businesses say, I'm going to relocate myself to where,
My people are.
yeah, to where my labor can afford to live and work? And these are professionals.
Right.
Not like they make minimum wage,
Right.
making a lot of money. But
Right.
to buy, an old townhouse in Westchester for 800,000 is
Right.
ridiculous.
No, it's crazy. So like with interest rates, I mean, your mortgage would be 6, 7,000,
Yep. Yep.
but they also could go to Coatesville if they needed to.
They can, and that's where I grew up, and we do a lot of work out there,
Yeah.
right? So you see a lot of the school district obviously becomes a difficult thing to crack. So a lot of the age restricted communities are built out there. Traditions
Hmm.
built a lot out there,
Hmm.
but you have the taxes. I mean,
Right.
that's the one bummer, So the money that you may save in buying a house in the Coatesville School District is being not completely offset, but substantially offset by the taxes,
Mm.
the school tax.
Mm.
We're sitting in West Goshen. They have their own public works department.
Right.
They do a great job. Um, East Goshen does the same thing. A lot of other municipalities, they collect a lot of tax, and at least I don't see, and I'm in the township world, all of the infrastructure being there. The two East and West Goshen, they do a fantastic job.
Okay.
Other places outsource some things, and things get done differently.
Really, you're kind of just saying, hey, the value isn't there for the person that lives in that township.
Yep. But they're
I,
paying a tax. But yeah, back to what I was saying to you
yes.
before. I think what you do in these houses and the people that we sell houses to, they're not I can install my own patio and fix my own stuff and do my own thing, but that's not the buyers of today. And I think you're positioned well to be able to just continually upgrade
Right. Grow.
people's things. Yep.
Right.
I watch your stuff.
Yeah.
I know what you do. Know where you started, where you kind of where you've come to.
Yeah.
Where do you see where does Chase Gallagher honestly see himself in 5 years and in 10 years?
So that's a great question, Denny Senior. I would say 5 years. I'm probably like, in the growth, still growing CMG Landscaping on
Yep.
my social media, maybe selling that business, CMG Landscaping. And then within the 10-year time frame, taking my online platform and kind of the coaching group that I've started, Service Pro Elite.
Yep.
I have a lot of students in there and one-on-one coaching. So we're establishing real relationships with other landscape business owners. And so I'd like to turn that platform into some sort of growth / private equity platform where we can help them. Basically, what I want to do as of today, in business things change, is grow my landscaping business, sell it. All right, then Chase has a track record, and then I can take my audience that I've built online, which is mostly landscapers, and use that track record to bring them into my platform and turn them out to private equity.
Yep. I get you. I get you. And certainly PE's out there throwing around sick numbers. I think that we're living through a really neat time in that it's neat in one way for the where we're at is that if a young person came into me today and said, Denny, I'm going to leave tomorrow and start my own engineering company, I think that is a billion times harder today than it was 30 years ago. In fact, today it could arguably be almost impossible, being
Really?
that you're going to be competing for labor, competing. You need to come out of the gate with all of the things people need to have. You can't not offer benefits, not offer 401k, not offer all the things that everybody needs, short term, long term disability. But everyone else is out there competing for labor. But I just, I can tell you that I've been asked this question many times before, and maybe I have like founder's syndrome, but I started this. Joe Russell and Joe was my first employee in 1999. My son's working here, my daughter's working here.
Right.
I just can't. I would not sell my business to leave my guys. I wouldn't do it.
Right.
But I'd love to keep expanding it.
Keep growing.
And I certainly want to see what happens as it changes. You're a young guy. You used to go to a shoe store and buy shoes. Don't go to a shoe store anymore, right? There's just big giant conglomerates that do that. You used to go to your one doctor. You don't do that anymore. Doctors have now formed groups, right? And there's a giant group, and they have to, see people every 3 minutes. That's why we have no parking here. When we had one doctor up the street, then it was okay. When it became a group of doctors, and there's a group and you're getting people in and out the American way, get them in and out of there every 3 minutes.
Right.
Then you're stacking people up, and there's not enough parking. And in the old days of office buildings and medical offices needing 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet of building or 4. Probably need 7 now.
I believe it. Every
Yep.
time I'm down there in Penn, they have all these new buildings, new parking garages, but every time it's packed.
When I was a little kid, there were no commercials on TV for hospitals. Like
Mm.
you didn't watch TV and have a hospital commercial, right? But now you have MD Anderson, you have Penn, you have Fox Chase,
Yep.
you have everything. Every morning it's hospitals and cars all day long. Much different world. So we're living through this transformation right now. You probably are too. I mean, you see like the Dooley Pines and the other guys that you're out there probably competing with, and they're doing a lot of HOA work.
Right.
Probably not as much project-based landscaping like you do.
Right.
But like, who would be your biggest competitors right now?
Probably, and I don't like to think as competitors, but people that are doing the similar stuff in my space would be CKC, Dooley Pine, but they're HOA focused.
I see the CKC trucks around.
Yeah,
sometimes.
CKC there in Westchester. Malvern Lawn Care, Ethan Seeley, he's crushing it. He does some project based, but his main business is the HOA style maintenance. I mean, you throw a rock, Denny, you're gonna hit 5 fucking landscapers
Right.
out here. So it's
Yep.
like that's how it works.
They're all over.
Yeah.
Yep. My buddy Andy McFarland, do you know him? Countywide.
Yeah, I was gonna say countywide.
He's a good buddy.
They do a couple snow sites right next to us in Exton. So a couple days ago, I saw their trucks like pulling up, and they were like unloading this compact like machine with a little plow on it. I was like, but their shop's right down the street. It's just funny.
Yep. So you see yourself maybe one day out of the actual project-based landscaping business and doing other stuff. I know that you like real estate as well.
Yeah, I see myself probably, it's kind of similar to my like career path at 18, 19. I took a leap of faith, and I was really scared at the time to get rid of my lawn mowing and just focus on bigger stuff. But I did it, and it worked out really well. It's probably one of my best, career decisions I did. So I'm thinking like these are the visions I get in my head when I when I drive around about the private equity shit. So I would think that would be like my next career path. Like take the leap of faith, sell it, use the track record, because then I'm not like building a team that's selling projects to homeowners. I'm really building a team that's like the value creation's way larger and on that if I go that direction.
Yep. So are you still doing all your rental properties and everything?
Mm-hmm.
You are? Do you like them?
That's a great question, Denny. I would say no.
No, right.
I would say no.
There's a reason I asked that question, but
because like we talked about like a month ago at breakfast, you're like, some of my buddies have done it. So
yes.
I don't know. I think I don't want to, when I talk about my real estate path and stuff, I don't want to disrespect it because it has gotten me to where I'm at right now as far as just net worth creation and problem solving. But at the same time, it's like now we're focused on problem solving, smaller stuff that's not making me as much money. So, and then there's other things too, obviously, like with the real estate tax benefits. And so when you really lay it all out, is it my main focus? No, but it's definitely worth the time and brain space.
Yeah, I was at a lunch with a good client of mine 2 days ago. Actually, we had lunch at Sullivan's. I've never eaten lunch at Sullivan's, but I did. It's pretty heavy lunch, but he told me that I'm going to see me get it right. He said, rich people buy and sell real estate, but wealthy people own real estate.
Mhm.
And I sat back and was happy to say, I'm like, then I'm not going to be wealthy because I really have virtually no desire to just own real estate other than the things that I do myself, but I don't want to have tenants. I don't want to have, I manage the association here and snow, potholes out there, plow caught the meter box on the water box, tore it up, hole out there. I got to fix that. That's what I'm going to do after I do this today with you, but really no desire
You're
to
not gonna
kind of,
fix it yourself. You're gonna get a guy or whatever or what?
no, it's easy to fix it.
Oh,
It's just
wow.
a frame. Yep. But
Um,
but yeah, I thought that that was an interesting, kind of a Gordon Gekko-esque. You probably don't know who Gordon Gekko is, but kind of line. No,
I've heard the
Sean.
name. I've heard the name, but
Sean, do you know who Gordon Gekko is?
by the way, Denny, that phrase is all over the internet. Rich people buy and sell, wealthy people own.
I don't
Like
go on the internet really that much though.
I know
I know,
you're on like
right?
YouTube, which is very impressive. That like I tell this guy watches my vlogs and shit. Very
Thursday
impressive.
religiously.
Um,
I watch that and air disasters and airplane crashes because I want to know and understand all of them.
right. We got to get into that conversation too.
We'll get there.
Um, but yeah, that whole thing, like if you go on Instagram, which I'm trying to get you more on, like it's like all that shit. Oh, the wealthy own and hold real estate, and it is right. But then there's like other wealthy dudes that own businesses, or there's super wealthy people that play in the stocks or whatever, and they're probably like a different type of wealthy.
They are, and I don't know anything about stock whatsoever other than my 401k, but I do know ground and entitlements,
Right.
and I know what value is added once you have something approved.
Right.
And again, in the old days there were builders and developers, and the developers built for themselves, right? So there were not really many national home builders around.
Right.
I mean, look at that changed. There were really back, 25 years ago, there was Toll Brothers. There was not really national home builders
Right.
in this area. You had what we call the mainline builders that kind of built and developed, 25 and 30 and 40 lot communities. And they've kind of gone by the wayside. The national guys have come in and
Right.
they build very well. They build like a science, I'm sure, down to the nail, down to the sheet of drywall.
Mm,
But do they entitle well, and do they know that process and how to
right.
get those lots created? I think even if they were sitting here, most of them would say, we'd rather leave that to somebody else, and we'd rather buy lots that are not only approved but improved.
Right. So, well, and that goes back. I got two questions for you on this topic, but that goes back to our original conversation. So, in this type of market, Denny, do you think builders like this Chester County? I'm assuming they do, or do you think they don't?
I think they love it.
Yeah.
I think they absolutely love it.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, you're a developer technically too, right?
Yep.
So, talk to us about your project next. And first off, I would love to know: do you think it's worth it to be a developer?
It definitely is. I mean, you want to, I do it very carefully. I mean, I'm an engineer by trade and by everything I do, and I do some development stuff that's here and there. But
Mm-hmm.
I would never, if you asked me that question with the last part of it being, would I want to be a developer for a living? Absolutely not. I think it's playing musical chairs, and at some point in time, the music's going to stop, and you may or may not be able to sit down.
Right.
If you have the luxury of being able to be very picky and choosy,
Right.
and you develop things in the middle of what I call the donut hole, which is Xed in and places like that. I don't want to be way out. And again, not a knock. I don't want to be developing anything out on the very fringe where the market, is not as strong.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can find the right ones, and you're not put in a position where you have to develop real estate to be able to
Right.
eat.
Right.
Then I think it's a good thing.
I think like looking at your situation, I think it's like a very smart thing what you're doing with building these projects.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone thinks it's kind of glamorous, but you're definitely there's a lot of risk.
Right.
I mean, you're
Talk to us about the
going
risk.
you're going on the hook for the ground.
Right.
You're going on the hook for the improvements.
Right.
Most of that you're carrying while lots are being sold. And if lots aren't being sold, then everyone knows in this world if we invade Iran tomorrow and the market collapses and houses aren't being sold and gas costs $10 a gallon, then you're going to be stuck holding the bag.
Right.
And that's how those agreements are written. And you're a little bit making a deal with the devil, but it's the devil is good. Then
Right.
it works out.
So, how long did it take you to get that project? Like, when did you start your Exton project?
That's another fun one. That project was started back in maybe 2016, 2017, Euclid Township was fully approved. I should say fully approved, and the engineer approved it. The planning commission approved it. The board denied our plan. We then appealed that approval. We appealed that denial, went to the county into Westchester here, and we lost. We appealed that again. In Pennsylvania, when you appeal out of the county, you're headed to the Commonwealth Court, which is either in Harrisburg or Pittsburgh. Commonwealth Court's set up for just these kinds of things.
Mhm.
So more often than not, at least they understand, very well the real estate process. We were headed out to the Commonwealth Court, and then then we settled. Then we
Before you got
started.
to court.
Yep. Then we started construction on it in 24.
All right. And so, you know,
That's 7 years.
right. So
It's a long time.
right. With the court system, you guys, chatted before it got to the common plea or what court system you
Commonwealth
said?
Court. Yep.
So who are you going against?
The municipality or
Okay.
whoever, whatever agency in that case that would have denied your approval. You're appealing the denial.
Okay. So in that, what township was it? Euclid?
Euclid.
And like these people that denied it, are you sitting across the table like again, I have no idea how this works.
Right.
This is why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Is it like, hey man, like, yeah, I know we had a bad meeting this time, but let's go out to breakfast tomorrow? Or is it like you're sitting like this and you're like, I want to choke you the fuck out? And throw you-
Nah. I mean, look, they have a job to do. They're elected officials. They got a
Okay.
room full of their constituents who, I don't think I've ever gone to a meeting where what I was proposing, the room was full of people who were fans of it.
Okay.
I don't care what it is. I don't care if I'm curing childhood cancer. They're going to be complaining about traffic,
Noise.
about stormwater management, about noise, about lighting. And that's just the way that it is. And
Right.
people that take it personally are in for a long, painful career because you can't take it personally. I mean,
Right.
they disagree with what we're doing. I probably would disagree if it was in my backyard as well. But I have a job to do. I'm hired to get this project approved. I'm hired to get it to meet the ordinance. I'm hired to set up my client to be successful. And that's kind of what I do. I don't really get, it's a fair question because you would think that you'd be very angry and frustrated, and certainly you get frustrated. But I told this on another podcast. I was in West Whiteland maybe a year and a half ago, and room was pretty packed with neighbors who weren't happy about the project that was being proposed, and a lot of them get up to the podium and they're very passionate. They live there their whole life. They've
Right.
enjoyed this being either a vacant land or a field.
Right.
And one older gentleman, he got up and he really was not happy about things. And everything that he was saying, I shouldn't say everything. Most of the things that he was saying, he was wrong about. I had my client elbowing me to stomp on him and correct him, and I'm like, let him explain what he's unhappy about, and we'll get up and we'll respectfully disagree with what he's saying, and then and I'll explain to him why, and we'll leave it at that. But you're not gaining anything by just stomping on the person. And I got outside the room. We always have this post township meeting huddle out in the hallway or the vestibule or whatever when we get whether we have a good or bad meeting, and we're there huddling up, and residents were coming out, and one lady came up to me and she said, I don't really like the project that you're proposing, and I don't even really know if I like you because you're doing it, but I do respect how you handled. He was a doctor, retired. He's like, Dr. So and so, and I was like, well, I do this for a living every night. I
Right.
get it. I'm in your backyard and I'm proposing something, and you're upset and you're angry, and I know that you feel that your concerns are unique, stormwater, traffic, but they're all the same concerns that we hear and that we react to and that we do.
Right. For the past 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's funny they ask this question because this is one of the hardest things for a young engineer. Get a kid to go to school for engineering. It's a noble profession, right? I mean, they get out, they're going to do good. They're very happy with what they did. They're going to design, and they fully intend when they go to a township that they're going to be welcomed with open arms.
Right. It's quite opposite.
It's beyond the opposite. They are not. And people are, they're just, you just have to be able to find a way to just, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't get pissed off. I definitely can definitely get my car and like fucking scream and want to do stuff, but I certainly try to, be
After
objective.
years of doing it, you kind of
Yep.
realize how to play.
Yeah, so that's how Euclid was. I mean, I understood. They had a room full of people that weren't in agreement, and you're an elected official. I'm right. You wanna represent your constituents as
Right.
best as you can,
Right.
But then again, that's why there's ordinances in place, right? That's why we're trying to meet the ordinances and try to do everything that we can to be a fully compliant plan and make it very difficult. Not that it's impossible, but make it very difficult for them to deny you.
Mm,
Certainly, if I'm asking for 10 things that I don't comply with and I get denied, I'm probably going to lose that on an appeal and I probably aren't going to get my approval. Then again, if I have met the ordinance to every fullest extent I possibly can
right.
and I get denied,
Right.
then, I may be successful on an appeal. But you really have to have a client who has, the stomach and the money, the wallet to fight that appeal. But when there's not much ground available and when the value of ground is super high,
Right.
people are going to go and challenge that.
100%. So, what happened with the Amazon project next to the turnpike, right down the street from your project? There was so
Yeah.
much up in arms with that for years, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, one day, because I moved to Westchester, so I used to drive past that farm every day.
Yep.
There's an Amazon building there. So
That's not the one. This was the one on the school district property.
no,
And
I
yeah.
I I know, but that Amazon thing popped in my head as you're explaining this story.
Yeah.
Like in my eyes, is it Denny? Like if someone has enough punch and money, they could make shit happen. I mean,
I wouldn't say they could make shit happen, but it certainly becomes a war of attrition, right? And we have certain clients that whether they already own the ground, and usually when someone already owns it, as you can imagine, they're usually in it for the long fight. Most of these projects aren't. They're usually under agreement. So eventually, someone makes a business decision, which is, you know what, we don't want to spend the next 5 years, 10 years fighting this out. We're just going to go someplace else, right? And it becomes the seller's problem because it's the seller of the ground that's trying to sell their ground, and there's
mm,
like, you know what, guys, we don't, if you're either going to come down on price or you're going to come in this with us and we're all in this together,
mm,
it's a big giant shit sandwich. We're all going to take a bite.
mhm.
Or if you're not, then we'll just go and find another piece of ground to develop.
But but with the Amazon building I'm talking about, Rock Hill Farms, I think it was.
Now, Rock Hill is Willistown.
Uh, what was the Amazon project called? Do you know what I'm talking
I know
about?
exactly what you're talking about.
Like that was a farm, so is like they had to change the zoning on that property, right?
No,
No.
no, they wanted to change the zoning on that property to be residential, but they were coming in with a by right plan. But they did need relief on it.
Which means what?
That you can't completely meet the zoning ordinance, so you need some relief in it. And you're really, if you're in that world, then you have your hat in your hand, right? The township does not have to give you relief, so you're not really, you're starting with a leg down.
So you think those guys that were developing the Amazon project had to like convince the township saying, "Hey guys, like we're going to put this building here and pay you millions of dollars in property taxes a year."
They don't care about that. I
Okay.
don't want to speak for them, but that's never
Okay.
been a
Then
consideration.
why do you think that building got built there?
The one that got built there got built on the old Happy Days farm by the turnpike.
Right.
That one was already zoned for it, as I
Oh,
understand it.
that farm was already zoned
Yeah.
before they even
Yep.
bought it.
Yeah, there was more, a couple million square feet that were going to go on the other property that was kind of up against the back of Haywood Drive, and that's the area that didn't get built.
Uh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's being considered to be residential, which is what it should probably be.
Right.
And I think one of the ways to entice some municipalities into residential is when it's 55 and over,
Right.
because there's no impact on the school district.
Right. That's what you recommend for my property?
Yeah, well, you're in the Coatesville School District. Yep.
And you drive a mile up the street. It's like you said, it's Toll Brothers 55 and up communities.
And traditions, yeah. It's market rate is just a little bit tough. It's we had said this before when we were talking earlier before we went on here, but the cost of improvements, the cost of the cost to build the roads, and the cost to build everything can't exceed the value of the lot. That seems obvious, right? But when housing values are not high enough, they just don't support. I don't care how cheap you can build a house; the area doesn't support it. And improvements, everything, asphalt, concrete,
Right.
landscaping, costs a lot more.
Right.
Costs double.
Right. A lot of cost.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess inflation's also hurting housing as well.
Yep. That's just pushing everything. But you can get those numbers. As you go west, it gets harder. As you go east, it gets much easier. You get to downtown Exton, Malvern, Tredyffrin, Easttown, Radnor. You're going down the main line. You go up Montgomery County, up the Northeast Extension. I mean, those areas are strong up by Allentown, but going west and going south are tougher.
You're a big advocate for home ownership.
Huge.
Okay.
Yep.
Why is that?
It's the American dream, man.
Okay.
You got to own it. You have to own. I mean, I hate to see my own, spending money on rent, just throwing it away. Nothing's increasing in value. Look at the housing values and where they've gone. I mean, there's really hardly no better investment to be made out there, in my opinion, especially in the county.
Right.
Yep.
Interesting perspective on that.
Yep.
Okay.
Whose turn is it now?
It's your turn.
Is my turn now?
Yeah.
So,
because I feel like I'm asking all these questions, but
no,
I
no,
like to
wanna
go
hear.
like this.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how it was going to be.
And I have more questions because, like, if you do, and not that we're gonna go back to, but if you go back to like your thing, like you think it's the best investment. Not that I'm arguing with that, because I own my house, I own where I live, I love it. I love to own my house. Wake up, I look at my landscape lights at night. You know what I'm saying? But you look at my mortgage documents, right? I'm a young person. I put 5% down on my house. My mortgage is $3,300. I will pay over $1 million of interest on that loan if I keep it for 30 years. Now, I know everybody doesn't keep it, but it's just interesting if you
get to deduct your interest.
100%. That's why I got the mortgage.
Exactly. Can't deduct your rent. Your house should be going up in value.
Right. That was just an interesting thing because, like, my buddy and I did this comparison a couple weeks ago where it was like, you put 5% down on the house, it goes up based on Chester County values over the past 30 years is what we used it versus putting the money in like a S&P fund, and the S&P started winning at like the 12-year mark. But again, I'm a big advocate. I like owning a home, and I think more people should.
Yeah, but they should be able to do it. So few can do it in the county. That's the problem.
Right. But in today's world, for my peers, like they don't have the money to put a down payment on a $600,000 house. They don't have the income to get a mortgage on it. It's just not feasible.
Yeah, there definitely is. It's sadly I know we talk about it, and you and I talked about it, and I've talked with other officials about it. The reality of it is, the affordable housing problem is not going to be solved.
It's not.
It's not. It's just going to continue to get worse, and people are going to drive to where they have to work, and everyone's going to complain about traffic. I think when I was a young engineer and inspector, and when Bernie Hankin was building Eagle View, I didn't understand it. I thought he was crazy. A lot of people, I think, thought that he was crazy. This live, work, play like notion. Like, I haven't even heard about that. Like, what's that? But wow, it's really cool to be up in Eagle View and kind of see it all come together. I mean, especially if you're someone who can afford or who does work there,
right? And
then you can afford to also live there.
Yep.
And you got a place to go eat and go shop and go do some fun things. I mean, that's a cool thing.
I love Eagle View. That's where I grew up. That's a great spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is very cool.
Yeah. This was my other question for you, Denny Sr. You asked me, where I see myself in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned about private equity with your company, like getting these crazy offers. You don't want to do that.
Never do it.
Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Doing this.
Okay.
Yep.
Just continually growing these businesses?
Yep. I like what I do.
Okay.
I actually genuinely, there's definitely frustration. There's definitely days I don't feel like coming in. It's a lot like golf. I'm not a very good golfer, but when you do hit a good golf shot, you really are happy and you're like, this is why I kind of come to it. So like I love my guys. I love the people that I work with. I love the clients that I work with for the most part. Certainly we're in a spot where we try to work with good people. It's a very hard process, but I like what I do. I mean, I definitely want to be doing more of other stuff, but this is what I do. Got my son here, got my daughter here.
Right. What would the other stuff be?
Fishing.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
I see. And so we were going to talk about this right before the pod started. Why do you have like what's the purpose? So you just started this new company called
Landforms.
And when is that going to be officially start date?
It started
tomorrow or okay.
Yep.
And so
got the hat.
And what does Landforms do?
We're landscape architects and we do land planning, but I think you're going to ask me why I run all the companies separately. No one's asked that question of me yet.
Yeah, that was
so the traditional model of the engineering company was it had other disciplines bolted onto it. Surveying was a bolt-on thing. If you were talking to an engineering company, you may say, "Oh, who's your surveyor? Like, who's your licensed surveyor? Or who's your geotech guy? Or who's your landscape architect?" But those disciplines and those professions are being used or were being used, at least in my opinion, as like a lost leader. You know, you're using surveying to get more engineering. You're trying to use this other profession to feed the engineering company, whereas I feel strongly that all of them thrive when they're on their own. So, like our survey company, for instance, I think if we're not the largest in the state of Pennsylvania, I think that we're right there. No one has, 40 guys in the survey or 40 people in the survey company. They usually
Right.
have one. But we don't run surveying as a bolted on discipline to engineering. We run it as its own company and profession. It
Right.
surveys, obviously, for me. It surveys for other engineering companies. It surveys for construction companies, and the surveyors don't want engineers looking over their shoulder and telling them what to
Right.
do. They're different
Right.
people. You
Right.
wouldn't have your orthopedic surgeon telling your lung doctor like what to do. Right? They're two
Right.
completely different people, even though they're both doctors.
Right.
Same goes for our land planning, land forms. I mean, doing land planning is an upfront kind of an art and a different discipline than engineering. I mean, I can do engineering, but I can do land planning. But people don't really want engineers to do land planning. They want land planners to do it. So everyone asks me this question why we run them separately, but we feel, or I feel strongly that they thrive as separate entities and can be marketed that way.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I think you guys did land planning for me. Was that called land planning, or
It
was
is.
that engineering?
That's land planning.
And you guys took like a drone out and did a
That was
topography.
surveying.
Okay, that's
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
That's cool.
Hey, we love it when you need more than one aspect of what we do.
I'm sure you
That's
guys
what we do, right?
I'm sure.
That's why we like what you're doing. When I watch your videos, I'm just watching being like, did Chase get a permit for that? Is he going to be calling me up for impervious cover? You wouldn't be the only project-based landscaper that
Right.
we bail out of problems later
No,
on.
you
So,
guys have helped me out with not only that project, but other, clients' projects when I shoot, hit up Denny and say, yo, dude, I got this question. I mean, you guys get right back to me. So that's very nice.
just talked to a client on the way over here, and he's a builder, building a job in southern part of the county, but the people he's building a house for didn't hire us, but no problem. They hired another engineering firm, and really his frustration is that he can't get a hold of anybody. So it's funny that you say that because we do a very good job. My guys do a great job of getting back, whether it's me, whether it's any of them, survey, you email, call, whatever. We're
Right.
we're jumping on it, and that's what you talk about on your service of your guys. Nothing pisses anyone off
right.
more than when you need something, and you make a phone call and you don't get a call back.
100%.
Can't stand it.
That's my biggest thing about, on my online videos, like, you guys are engineers, you have to go to colleges and stuff like that to do this stuff. But like me, I can just start a business and even though we could throw a rock and hit 7 landscapers from here, there's still so much demand and there's so much opportunity in the home services because what's happening, Denny, is like my competitors don't do the basics. They don't answer the phone. They don't get back to emails within
Right.
24 hours. They're not sending out the estimates prompt enough. And so for, young and or old guys in landscaping, home services in general, there's like a lot of opportunity for us.
Yep. So before we go,
Yeah.
are you still in trouble in your home township or not yet? Or not?
I don't know, Denny.
You don't
That's the
know
question.
yet?
Am I in trouble? You tell
I
me.
guess you're gonna find out. I don't know.
I
don't know.
called Debbie up
I
around
thought maybe
Christmas.
it went away.
I called Debbie up around Christmas to talk to Ray or whatever. She said she was going to call him. Never got a call back from Debbie.
Maybe
But
you're okay.
but we have a nursery there.
Well, as you should. That's what you're doing there.
That's what I am doing, and
Right.
we're expanding it in the spring. We're actually just about to get some new loads of wood chips
Yep.
to heal in the plantings, but the wood chips have to sit there for a couple months before you're supposed to put them around the
Yeah.
plants.
Not planting now.
So the nursery operations are going to be even more expanded in the spring, and I'm just really excited for this upcoming year.
Well, we'll have to get you together after this with landforms and get a
Yes.
collaboration going on there.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
do.
we'll do that.
I just hired a landscape designer, Catherine. So maybe me and her can like do a luncheon for your team.
Yep. They would love that. They love lunch.
Do they actually?
They do.
Like,
Yeah.
and they'll show up and everything.
Yeah, they'll show up. All right, buddy. Well,
All right.
look, thank you very much, Chase. All
Denny.
right. Talk to you soon.